Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another Premier Draft of March of the Machine. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1, Pick 1. We've opened up a sweet rare. It's a nice aggressive white card, the Guardian of Ghirapur. 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer, already good for aggro decks, and it has a decent enter the battlefield effect, being able to potentially flicker another creature or artifact you control to get another enter the battlefield effect going. So we'll roll with that here. There's also a Herbology Instructor, is one of the better cards in the pack. Outside of that, not too much going on. Maybe one of these uncommons, pretty on par with that. But a pretty easy Guardian of Ghirapur there. Pack 1, Pick 2, we've got several powerful ways to go. We have Stoke the Flames for very nice removal in red. It's also a burn spell that can target face, which can finish somebody off if they're low enough on life points, which is nice. Captive Weird is a very good value play in blue. 1 mana for 1/3, then for 3 mana later on you flip it and draw a card when you flip it. So kind of like a 4 mana 3/3 that draws a card when it hits the board, which is a really good deal. There's also Mirror Shield Hoplite if I want to just immediately hop into a specific 2-color archetype, try to be the red-white backup deck. Could also immediately hop into the green-white +1/+1 counter deck with Storm the Seed Core. Bunch of very nice uncommons here, and I think those are the best, most reasonable picks to take. If you are really in love with the blue-white Knights archetype, I guess you could take Protocol Knight, but you should probably just take Captive Weird if you're scooping up a blue card, and I do really like Captive Weird. I think I'm going to take that here. It's just very good value. 4 mana for a 3/3, draw a card, worst case scenario. Alright, pack 1, pick 3 now. We do have another Bola Slinger. There was one of these in the last pack as well. Solid card, not quite as good as all of those uncommons in the last pack though, but it might be good enough to be the pick out of this pack. It's one of the better cards in the pack, and it's on color to our rare. It also synergizes well with it because if it has hit the board before the Guardian of Ghirapur has, then we can flicker it and get another +1/+1 counter out of that backup ability. So that could be decent. Aerial Boost is a pretty great, pretty cheap combat trick. The fact that it has Convoke and its instant speed is pretty busted, making it really hard for your opponents to play around this because you just need a couple random creatures untapped, even if you're completely tapped out of mana. And there's 2 cards that are decent for the green-white +1/+1 counters deck, but not super exciting. I think I'm just going to take a white card here. I think the competition's between Aerial Boost and Bola Slinger the most. The Sunblessed Guardian is just a very big mana commitment for not that much. Otherwise, it's just a 2 mana 2/2 on curve. I'll just take the Bola Slinger there. Alright, pack 1, pick 4. Meeting of Minds is pretty decent out of blue, but we're only 1 card deep into the color with Captive Weird. We could just take Phyrexian Awakening instead, which is probably a little bit weaker overall, but it plays as essentially a 5 mana 4/4 Vigilance at worst, which isn't terrible. And if you end up in black-white, where you have a lot of Phyrexian creatures, then this can give you some extra buffs by giving your other Phyrexians Vigilance as well, which is nice. So I like Phyrexian Awakening a decent amount. There's also Overgrown Pest as maybe the strongest card in the pack individually for green, but that would be hopping into another color here. Yeah, I think the best 3 picks are Phyrexian Awakening, Overgrown Pest, and Meeting of Minds. We'll go with Awakening here. I don't think it actually works with Guardian of Ghirapur, unfortunately. Yeah, this only exiles artifacts or creatures. Wish this could do any permanent, then you could flicker one of your Phyrexian enchantments, like a Phyrexian Awakening. That would be really nice. Speaking of Phyrexian enchantments, we could take a Gift of Completion here, heading towards black-white Phyrexians. Could also take another Overgrown Pest. It's 2 pests in a row there, or just take an Alabaster Host Intercessor. It's a pretty solid card for any white deck. It can plain cycle you into the white source if your mana's all messed up, and it's a solid late game play, a 3/4 that can exile anything until it leaves the battlefield. Stick to white here, go for the Alabaster Host Intercessor. Pack 1, pick 6, pretty late Ichor Drinker, which plays quite well in pretty much any black archetype, but in black-white, the value off of this is that it's going to be 2 Phyrexians. The front half is a Phyrexian creature, and the Incubator, the back half, is a Phyrexian creature as well. So if we go for that black-white Phyrexian archetype, it'll be pretty good. There's also Tandem Takedown for great removal out of green. Does feel like I've been seeing a little bit more good green than black overall, but I've also been passing a lot of good green. The Billy Rider and the Seraph of Nukapen are both filler enough at this point that I think I'm supposed to take an off-color card, and the best two are Ichor Drinker and Tandem Takedown. We'll go for the Tandem Takedown here. Pack 1, pick 7, Alabaster Host Sanctifier's fine filler 2-drop. You need a good amount of 2-mana creatures in this format, ideally about 5 per deck as your baseline. Yeah, none of these off-color cards are really good, so we can just take the filler 2-drop. Another filler 2-drop with Sunder the Gateway here. This is a Phyrexian, so it's a good creature type, and it gives you main deck artifact and enchantment removal. Your opponent has a really good one out, so fine filler 2-drop again. These other cards are all pretty filler off-color. I think the best card here is Render Inert, but we don't have anything to work with that. This is the best card, but it is a build-around where you need to be a deck that has multiple battles, so that even if your opponent doesn't have anything to remove those counters from, you can get good value from just flipping one of your battles with this. If you don't have any battles in your deck, I definitely wouldn't play the card. The more battles you have, the easier it would be to play. Phyrexian Censor is pretty good in the white-black deck. I haven't taken any black cards yet, though, and Swordsworn Cavalier is much better in the blue-white deck. And I do have one blue card. I also just don't like Phyrexian Censor. I think it's a very rude and annoying ability and effect and everything, and I don't like the design with battles in the same format, where if you play a battle and then attack the battle and try to flip it, the battle can't get cast. So take the Swordsworn Cavalier here, and looks like it's going to play out well for us. We wheel the Protocol Knight. Great card for the Blue-White Knights deck. Maybe that is our direction. Yeah, our Guardian of Ghirapur should play pretty well in this archetype as well, because multiple of the best blue creatures for the blue-white deck have good enter the battlefield effects. There's Protocol Knight, which has that enter the battlefield tap ability, and there's Preening Champion, which has an enter the battlefield ability to make a 1/1 knight. There's a 4-mana 2/2 out of white that makes another 2/2 when it hits the board, and those are both knights as well. So blue-white knights could be a pretty nice home for our strongest card, Guardian of Ghirapur, and Captive Weird and Protocol Knight is a good start towards heading into blue. We'll see. What we open up in pack 2. Alright, nothing incredible for blue-white knights. There's Astral Wingspan or Swordsworn Cavalier. Alternatively, though, we can take another rare, which is Dusk Legion Duelist. This is a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. It's a Vampire Soldier, unfortunately. But if we have some backup cards like Bolaslinger in our deck, this can draw cards every time it gets a +1/+1 counter put onto it. So if I play a Bolaslinger and I back up onto the Dusk Legion Duelist, boom, I get to draw a card. And worst case scenario, 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. It's filler, but you do want filler 2-mana creatures. So I'm going to try out the Dusk Legion Duelist potentially here. I don't think there's much I'm passing up on. Best cards that I'm passing up on are probably the Wingspan and the Cavalier here. I think Cavalier is probably the best one in Blue-White Knights. But Dusk Legion Duelist is the coolest one if we can get that to pop off. Ooh. Well, there's a Stasis Field and Alabaster Host Sanctifier, which aren't really exciting for us, so we can pretty easily take an Errant and Giada. 3 mana for a 2/3 Flash Flyer, that's already good. Don't really need anything else to work with it, which is good because we don't really have anything else to work with it. Lets us look at the top card of your library at any time, and we can cast spells with Flash or Flying from the top of our library. So I guess it works with our Guardian of Ghirapur. We could cast that off the top. But it's going to be kind of hard to get a lot of flyers and creatures with flash in this format, but we might get a few. If we can play just one card off the top of our library with this, we've essentially drawn a card off of it, making it a 2-for-1, which is really strong when its base stats are already pretty good, so we'll take an Errant and Giada here. Alright, pack 2, pick 3, there's another Protocol Knight. There's also an Inga Rune Eyes. We wheeled a Protocol Knight last pack. Hopefully we can do the same here. Wow, Deadly Derision and Stoke the Flames. Very good off-color removal in this pack. I think these are probably the two strongest cards, but we're pretty focused up on blue-white now. And Protocol Knight and Inga aren't that much worse. I think I take the Protocol Knight here, but I also think Protocol Knight's more likely to wheel than Inga, and we could maybe use both of these cards. I don't think I'd be super excited about Inga in this kind of deck. Inga's really good for more defensive strategies. It's not that hard to trigger the draw 3 off Inga, and the Scry enter the battlefield effect is pretty good, but I think the blue-white Knights deck play the best as like aggro decks, like aggro tempo decks, where you curve out with your 3/1s, then you just keep locking down everything they're doing early, rather than just playing a bit of Scry, bit of card draw later like Inga can do. Speaking of Inga, here's Inga and Essica, which I guess I'm just going to rare draft, because there's no playable blue or white cards in this pack at all. This is a really weak pack in general. I think the best cards probably Storm the Seed Core for a finisher in green. There's Storm the Seed Core, Portent Tracker, and Shatter the Source that I would consider playable out of the commons and uncommons. Outside of that, it's just the rare Inga and Essica for green-blue. Just going to rare draft that. Alright, pack 2, pick 5 is much better. We've got a Skyclave Aerialist, which is an excellent 2-drop for any deck. 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer, nice cheap evasive threat. We could cast it off the top of our library if we have Errant and Giada on board, so it's a little bit of potential value there. And when we flip this for 4 mana, we get to draw another card. So nice little 2-for-1 value play. Take a Skyclave Aerialist here. There's also Cyber Cryptomancer, which also works with Errant and Giada and is a pretty solid combat trick. Or there's Angelic Intervention, which is a great combat trick, but doesn't work with Errant and Giada. I think I'd take Cryptomancer over Intervention because we have the Errant, but I would definitely take the Skyclave Aerialist over both of those here. Yeah, we actually have multiple good synergies for Cyber Cryptomancer. So if we see another Cyber Cryptomancer, I'd be pretty interested in picking that up. I think I take Alabaster Host Intercessor over Wicked Slumber. I think I'd rather just have creatures hitting the board and giving me those tap abilities than having to spend a spell on it. Okay, that's all creatures. Yeah, this is our actual creature curve. Take another Alabaster Host. What I was going to say is that the Cyber Cryptomancer also happens to work really well with our Dusk Legion Duelist, so we can get a +1/+1 counter on that, draw a card, which is nice. I guess the Angelic Intervention works with the Dusk Legion Duelist as well. It puts a counter on it. Order of the Mirror is okay. I think Eyes of Gataxias is a strong enough value play to take over Order of the Mirror, even though it's a good creature type for this deck. Also Aerial Boost, though, which is in competition. I'll take the Eyes of Gataxias. Actually kind of unsure on that one. I think Eyes of Gataxias is the strongest card standalone by a lot. But with 2 Protocol Knight, we might want Knights in the deck enough to take the more medium 2-drop just because it has the Knight creature type. Take a Temporal Cleansing here. I don't think I want 3 Alabaster Host Intercessors. That's pretty expensive. A lot of high mana value stuff. Alright, we wield a Swordsworn Cavalier, so I'll scoop it up. I think I take that over Wingspan. Now, Stasis Field or Alabaster Host. Got 6 2-drop creatures, 1 1-drop creature. I don't think I need more filler 2-drops, and we're probably getting to the point where we hope that all of our 2-mana creatures start becoming Knights or Flyers to work with our Protocol Knights or our Errant and Giadas to make them better. So we'll take a Stasis Field in case we end up being that low on removal. And Inga Runais did wheel, so we can put Inga in here for now. I don't have a playset of Invasion of Moog yet, so we'll take one of these. Just hold down that Alt key if you're looking to build your collection while you draft. The Alt key is how you see how many of each card you own. Take an Urn of Godfire just in case. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. What have we got? We've got a Norn's Inquisitor, which is a super good 2-drop that is also a Knight to trigger Swordsworn Cavalier or help Protocol Knight actually lock things down. It's also a very good value play. 2 mana for a 1/1 that comes with a 2 mana 3/3 attached, basically. And if we end up flipping a Skyclave Aerialist or a Captive Weird while it's on the board, then those will also get an additional +1/+1 counter. I like Norn's Inquisitor a lot. I think it's one of the best 2 mana creatures in the whole format. And I'm going to slam dunk it here. We love to wheel a Protocol Knight. If we can't wheel the Protocol Knight, Invasion of Xerax is fine. not incredible. I've been getting lower and lower on battles over time, and I didn't like love them initially either. But we'll just take a Norn's Inquisitor here. We could take a Golden Scale Aeronaut because it works with our Dusk Legion Duelist and our Errant and Giada. That being said, it's not super exciting. But the only other real choices here, because I don't really want a third Intercessor, is going to be Order of the Mirror for another filler 2-drop Knight, or an Elspeth's Smite for some cheap interaction. Still feel like I'm really low on removal. I might actually take Elspeth's Smite over the Aeronaut or the Order of the Mirror. We'll probably wheel one of these anyway. We'll get them to come back around in the draft. We'll take an Elspeth's Smite. Not the most flexible removal. It doesn't kill the biggest things and it only kills attackers and blockers, but it is still cheap removal. I think I'd rather take another Bola Slinger over another Phyrexian Awakening. We don't really have many synergies for Awakening, but we've got some for the Bola Slinger. But I'd rather take a Bola Slinger over a Meeting of Minds, though. I actually don't have any card draw yet, and I've got a good creature count for Convoking. I've got, like, not like dedicated card draw, but I have, like, card draw attached to some creatures. I have draw 1 card off Captive Weird, draw 1 card off Aerialist, draw 1 card off Eyes of Ataxius. I think I could take a nice dedicated card draw spell here, though. Grab a Meeting of Minds. Ooh, Marshal of Zhalfir, there's the payoff, let's go. All of our knights get +1/+1, and we can spend 2 mana and tap this to tap another creature. That way this card can stay useful without having to actually attack or block and put itself at risk, so Marshal of Zhalfir is great. We'd also love a Cyber Cryptomancer, but gotta take that Zhalfir. Just perfect. Now we have another Aerial Boost or another Meeting of Minds. I'm not going to play Inspired Charge. Only got 1 Aerial Boost right now. I think I'd rather have another boost than another Meeting. I think I just need 1 like dedicated card draw Meeting of Minds style spell in here, since we have a couple ways to draw like 1 extra card slapped onto things. I'll take an Aerial Boost. Now I can go ahead and take a Golden Scale Aeronaut. We're topping off the curve with a card that synergizes with Errant and Giada and Dusk Legion Duelist. I could also take Invasion of Vryn for a big dedicated card draw card, but this one is expensive. We do have to spend 4 mana and we have to do it at sorcery speed. With Meeting of Minds, instant speed, and we can convoke it, so we have to spend very, very little on this ideally, so I'm just going to take Aeronaut. Another Captive Weird, pick 7. Well, there is another Protocol Knight, but Captive Weird is such a good value play that I'm going to take it over the Protocol Knight. There's another Eyes of Gataxius, but at this point I think I'll take a Cybo Cryptomancer, because I think it works really well with Errant and Giada, as well as working well with Dusk Legion Duelist. Pretty cool with those cards. Actually, Omenhawker doesn't look bad in this deck either. We have Plane Cycling abilities. We have an Aerialist to flip, a Captive Weird to flip. We have Incubators to flip with Sunder the Gateway, Phyrexian Awakening. A lot of ways to use that mana, but I've been talking a big game on the Cyber Cryptomancer synergies, so let's actually lock those in. Tranquil Cove or Protocol Knight here. Probably do have room for 3 Protocol Knights. I think it is really strong. I think it'd be fair enough to take the dual land, but I'll take a Protocol Knight. Now I'll take an Order of the Mirror for another cheap knight. Thunderhead Squadron's not great. There's a pretty big difference in terms of the power level of Convoke cards that are instants versus sorceries. So a 6 mana sorcery speed Convoke card, not the most exciting to me. Alright, I guess we get multiple Order of the Mirrors for multiple more knights. Do I want another Cryptomancer or another Meeting of Minds more? Take another Cryptomancer. Might be overly cute, but I think it's pretty cool. Alright, this is going to be a sweet deck. We get a last pick Protocol Knight. Well, now I wish I just took the dual land. I don't think I'm going to play 4 Protocol Knights. I don't know if I could have foreseen getting a pick 15 Protocol Knight, though. But yeah, I think I'm cool to play 3 Protocol Knights. I think I would rather have a dual land than the 4th, though. That is nuts. Alright, yeah, this looks like It's going to be a sweet Blue-White Knights deck, and we have a lot of options for what we want to cut. 53 cards, so we get to cut 13 of them. Yeah, cutting 13 cards is always going to be kind of a daunting task. I guess I'll just start by cutting my general least favorite cards like always. Let's see, what do our 2-drops look like? This doesn't have any synergy. We don't have a ton of ways to use the Duelist, but it still seems pretty fun, pretty good if we get a little bit of backup going with it. We have 4 backup cards that we could run. If we end up cutting any of the backup cards, maybe I do cut the Duelist, but 100% going to keep in Norn's Inquisitor and Double Cavalier. 100% going to keep in Aerialist and Marshal of Zhalfir. I do think Order of the Mirror is not the most mana-efficient card ever either. It's not the greatest. Solid once you flip it, but that's a 5 mana investment to just have a decent little 3/3. But you can spread it amongst 2 turns, and it plays well with our Norn's Inquisitor. And it has that Knight creature type, which is good. I think it's the weakest. These are the weakest ones we have left, is Dusk Legion, Duelist, and Double Order of the Mirror. I think these 5 are all great. I'm not going to cut all 3 of these, but I might cut some combination. Maybe like cut 1 Order of the Mirror or something. I'm definitely keeping in Elspeth Smite. I think we're pretty low on interaction. Definitely keeping in 2 Captive Weird. Aerial Boost. Probably run these 2 as our 2 combat tricks for the deck. Drop a Zhalfir and Shapecraft. Stasis Field is not a great removal spell either, especially when we're aggressive like this and trying to beat down. Sunder the Gateway does give us main deck artifact enchantment removal, but it is also the lowest synergy 2-drop. So it kind of goes in this pile of 2 mana creatures that might get cut. It's probably worse. This is definitely worse than Dusk Legion Duelist and probably worse than the Order of the Mirrors. Okay, let's cut the Sanctifier and those 2 non-creature spells just immediately. I can lock that in as those definitely getting cut. At 3 mana, we have Guardian of Girper, excellent card. Errant Giada, solid card. Phyrexian Awakening, no synergy here, but still a solid card. Just strong in general. I guess it's not no synergy. It works with our 2 Captive Weird, our Skyclave Aerialist, our Norn's Inquisitor. Any of those when they're flipped. Scroll Shift is pretty narrow, not great, probably cut that. Eyes of Gataxias, not a lot of synergy, but it's a very good value play, similar to Captive Weird. Like, this doesn't have any direct synergy in our deck, it's just a good value creature. Eyes of Gataxias is like the common version of Captive Weird, where it's 5 mana total to get a 3/3 and draw a card instead of 4 mana total to get a 3/3 and draw a card like Captive Weird, but that's still a good card. Keep it in for now. Bola Slinger works well with our, God, what is it called? Our Dusk Legion Duelist. And it can help us really get attacks in nice and aggressively, but Protocol Knight kind of does the same thing while being a good creature type for us. And then Inga Rune Eyes, I think, again, is a lot better for slower, more controlling decks where you want to set up your card draw and then just trading on blocks. It's not a super good attacker. I think I kind of want just all my 4-drops to be just 4 Protocol Knight. Just boom. Do that. I don't think we have enough creatures for Inspired Charge, unless you're like a super token-heavy deck or something. That card's not the most exciting. Meeting Minds, fine card draw. Temporal Cleansing's fine removal. Aeronaut's only really good if we have Dusk Legion Duelist or Errant Giada. If we don't have either of those, this card is a little overcosted in a vacuum when you're just using its intended way. Using it the intended way and just like putting a counter on one of your 3/1s and getting a flying attack in or something. It's only when we get to put a counter on a Duelist and draw a card and attack in the sky, or when we get to play this off the top of our library and draw a card off Errant Giada, that we're going to be really happy with it. So that is also a potential cut. And then I think the Intercessors are pretty slow for what should be a pretty fast, pretty aggressive deck, so maybe cut those. Like the 2 Cryptomancers, though. Maybe with Cryptomancers functioning basically as combat tricks, maybe we cut one of these aerial boosts or 2 of these. and use the Cryptomancers instead in the combat trick front. Problem is we actually do have to hold mana up for these, but they play well, again, with Arrington Giada and with Dusk Legion Duelist, potentially. But I could see that being a thing. Cutting some combination of these. Maybe if we cut the Duelist, we cut one Cryptomancer, and if we don't cut the Duelist, we cut an Aerial Boost. Alright, so this is 50 out of 40 cards now, so we still need to cut 10. Putting all the maybes to the side, how many cards did that leave us with here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I can put one of these cards back into the deck? Yeah, that's... we just have too many good cards. Too many goodies. Kind of want to put Phyrexian Awakening or Eyes of Gataxias in the maybe pile. Well, if I leave both of these in, that's 2 more Phyrexians for the deck, and then if I put an Order of the Mirror in, that's both upping my Knight count and my Phyrexian count. And then if I don't play Dusk Legion Duelist, then I don't need the backup as much. Could maybe swap out a Cryptomancer. I do like Aerial Boost a lot. That can finish somebody off as well. +2/+2 flying. You've got Phyrexians with Captive Weird and Aerialist. I think Awakening's fine. Maybe... I think I am just going to put one of the maybes back in. It's not going to be Inspired Charge, Scroll Shift, or Sunder the Gateway. I don't think it's going to be Intercessors or the Aeronaut because they're expensive. Not going to be the Inga since that's more defensive. Oops. I think it's going to be one of these 4. If I put Dusk Legion Duelist back in, that would be having cut Bola Slinger and the flying backup card, so we'd only have 2 cards to put a counter on this. Probably not enough for it to be exciting. We can cut that. And again, quadruple Protocol Knight. I think I do cut Bola Slingers or 4-drop. Yeah, I think I am just on Order of the Mirror. It's 2 good creature types. It's a Knight up front immediately to trigger Swordsworn Cavalier when it hits the board. I guess it's not technically a triggered ability, but you know what I mean. And to help the Protocol Knights get their stun counter later. And then if I flip it, that works really well with Norn's Inquisitor. We'll get an extra counter. It works well with Phyrexian Awakening. It'll have Vigilance. Yeah. I mean, you gotta cut something. We had to cut a lot of good cards, but our deck is a bunch of good cards here. Like, Order of the Mirror is probably one of the weakest cards in the deck, but it has good synergies with it. Helping up that Knight count is important for these 7 cards. 4 Protocol Knight, 2 Cavalier, and a Marshal of Zhalfir. All want us to be consistently playing Knights. So, yeah. This looks pretty solid to me. I think we will call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list for today. It's going to be a blue-white Knights deck with a ton of good value plays slapped in, tacked on, added to this pile. We've got 2 Captive Weirds for a 1-mana 1/3 that we can spend 3 mana to turn into a 3-mana 3/3 that draws us a card. We also have Eyes of Gataxias, which is essentially a 5-mana 3/3 that draws us a card. So we've got all these cantrip sort of creatures in the deck to give us a little bit of extra value. We can go wide on the board while still drawing cards to have more cards in hand to keep dumping out, getting aggressive. The main aggressive pieces that we have in this deck are the Knights package. We have Marshal of Zhalfir, buffing all of our Knights, which we have a decent amount of. Cards like Swordsworn Cavalier are already high power up front, and every time that we play a Knight, they're going to have First Strike during that whole turn, so they get a really good attack in as we're playing Knights. We have 4 Protocol Knights on turn 4 to make it really hard for our opponents to successfully block all of the damage that we're trying to pressure them with, because this is going to lock down one of their creatures, make it so it can't block the turn we play the Protocol Knight, and it doesn't untap in their next turn, so it won't be able to block during our next combat step either. So really nice tempo play to try to just lock down their creatures just long enough to try to find that lethal combat damage. Our last Knight in the deck, the Norn's Inquisitor, also synergizes with a bunch of our flip cards, so this is going to add to our Knight count for Swordsworn Cavalier, Marshal of Zhalfir, and Protocol Knight, and it is also a good value play by itself, giving us a 2-mana 3/3 slapped on with that Incubator token, but it's also going to potentially buff our 2 Captive Weirds, letting them get another +1/+1 counter when they flip, and our Order of the Mirror, which is our most filler knight in the deck, and our Skyclave Aerialist, which is just a nice cheap evasive threat. That's another card that draws a card when it flips, similar to those Captive Weirds, so another little value play there. So all those get better with Norn's Inquisitor. At 3 mana, we have Guardian of Ghirapur, which is a cheap, flying, just evasive threat to get a bunch of damage in, be pretty hard to block, and it also synergizes really well with our 4 Protocol Knights. But if we don't have a Protocol Knight on board, we might even be able to just synergize with something like a Captive Weird if I flipped it and drawn my card off of it already, and then I have enough mana that I'm okay with spending the mana to reflip it again later. Then by flickering it with a Guardian of Ghirapur, I can then dump the extra mana into flipping it again on a later turn. So Guardian of Ghirapur looks pretty sweet in here, because worst case scenario, 3 mana 3/3 flyer is nice and aggressive. Then there's Errant and Giada, a flash flyer. Sometimes this can hit the board and just kill an opposing 2/2 out of nowhere. And sometimes we can cast a free spell off the top of our library with this. We only have 3 cards that we could cast off the top of our library. By free, I don't mean that we cast the spell for free. I just mean we don't have to spend a card from our hand to do it, so it's kind of like drawing an extra card. So poor choice of words there, but I mean that we might be able to draw an extra card off of this by casting a spell off the top of our library. This can cast flyers like Guardian of Ghirapur or flash creatures like our 2 Cyber Cryptomancer. So another potentially good value play, but worst case scenario, another solid flyer. So pretty sweet stuff in the creature base. For the non-creatures, we don't have very good interaction. It's probably the worst part of this deck. We can't permanently kill things easily. 1 Elspeth Smite being the only way to permanently kill something. Other than that, a Temporal Cleansing to also slow down their blockers. But again, this is a tempo aggro deck. If they resolve some good threats, our best bet, our general game plan, is to just lock them down just long enough to find lethal damage with 4 Protocol Knight and a Temporal Cleansing to get things out of the way for a little while. We also have Aerial Boost to jump a creature into the sky to try to find the last few points of damage. A lot of solid ways to try to get around good blockers and good threats from our opponents. So that is the deck list for today. Nice tempo aggro deck. Looks like it's going to be a pretty fun one to play. So without further ado, let's just head into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are on the play for game 1. We need to hit a blue source pretty badly. It's kind of awkward. If I hit any land, then I have Cavalier into Phyrexian Awakening, so I'll have a 3/1 down early, and then a 4/4 in a couple turns. It's a risky keep, but if I hit the blue source, it should be pretty hard to lose with this hand. If I don't hit the blue source, it should be pretty easy to lose, so it's kind of a coin flippy hand to start it off, unfortunately. But I don't think it's worth a mulligan. Oh my god, now if I hit any land, I've got a very good start, even without a blue source. We did not hit any land. Pass the turn here. Playing against blue-black, bust him on the most busted deck in the format. Blue-white knights is very good as well. Alright, there's the island. Let's get things going, shall we? Human Angel, it's not a knight. What do I want to do for my 3 mana here? I'd like to be able to send in the Cavalier. The only way to do that is play a knight this turn, which would be Marshalow Zalfir, which is not the most mana efficient play. Could just hold up an Errant and Giada and play them in the end step. That's fine, but then I can't Protocol Knight next turn. I won't have a knight on board. Kind of wish I had double blue and a white. I could play Marshal and Captive Weird here. Let's just play the knights here. Drop Marshal of Zalfir, hit for 4. Final Flourish on the Marshal of Zalfir. There goes the Night Lord. Here's an Order of the Mirror to get another attack in. Now that I don't have the Night Lord anyway and I'm still stuck on mana, it's probably better to just start playing flyers. think it's okay to miss some Guardian of Gear per value, because Erranton Giada is not going to kill something out of nowhere. Like, they're not going to be attacking in with any 2/2s for me to kill with Erranton Giada, and I'm not going to have the mana up to profit off of casting cards from the top of my library. And the only 2 cards left I could cast would be 2 Cyber Cryptomancers. Probably save Erranton Giada for when I have like 5 mana up, so I can play them, and then if I have a Cryptomancer on top, play that off the top. Or if they just don't have removal for Guardian of Gearper, we might just play them to try to kill them in the sky. They do have a stasis field. Okay, we can drop planes. Don't particularly like Protocol Knight here. I mean, a 3/4 is a good threat on this board, and Cavalier would have first strike. Tap down the Berserker, send in a 3/1 first strike against their 3/3. Actually does seem solidly aggressive. Getting some more damage here seems fine. Okay, they're going to draw their Scornblade Berserker card. Take 3 damage, go down to 14. Traumatic Revelation, sure. Cool with them spending some mana to not affect the board state. Get rid of Erranton Giada. I'm pretty fine with that too, because I think Captive Weird is actually a better play for us right now. Especially if they play a flyer. It's not a big enough flyer to matter too much though. So I can play and flip in Order of the Mirror. What can this return to the top? A creature or a battle? Just a Scornblade Berserker right now. I think I'm fine with a Cavalier for Gorilla trade. Or a double block, trade Knight into the 3/3. Not great. Mana efficient, make a 4/4, I could just flip a Captive Weird. Or if I play Order of the Mirror, give a Cavalier first strike, get a 3/3 attacker is pretty good. You know what, sure, I still have more cards to play these next few turns. Let's just get aggressive still. Keep that pressure on them. I guess I don't need to flip this immediately. So I could actually do that and play a Phyrexian Awakening. And then next turn I can get like a lot of damage in. If they don't play some pretty good blockers. Because I have the mana to flip the Order of the Mirror and the 4/4 Incubator. Then they'll both have Vigilance too. I don't think the Vigilance is really going to matter, but they'll be big. I keep this Plains in hand, so if they play a Nazumian Informant that makes me discard a card, I can discard the Plains and keep the Captive Weird, but I am going to spend my mana flipping my stuff. I guess I could just not flip the Order of the Mirror, but then they can trade Gorilla into that. They can already trade Gorilla into Cavalier, which I think they would want to do. But yeah, if I just attack it and don't flip the Order, I can play and flip the Captive Weird, which is probably better, actually, than flipping the Order. Okay, repurposing our 4/4, trade into the Cavalier. They take 2, see what they mill. Nothing good, nothing good. They milled a bomb rare. Well, that's a nightmare. They did not have anything good in Grave until they hit that Hitotsugu and Kairi, and now they have something exceptional in Grave. And that is just going to get played next turn, and we're going to need to draw into a way to get through that. Elspeth's Smite doesn't quite get through it. So this draws them 3, and then they put 2 on top of their deck. If they put an instant or sorcery on top, then when that dies, they get to cast that instant or sorcery for free. So it's already a 2-for-1 because they draw 3 and put 2 back, which means they're up an extra card because they played a Hitotsugu and Kairi and drew a card. And then when it dies, it probably casts a spell for free, which makes it a 3-for-1. If they didn't hit a Hitotsugu and Kairi, we were in like the winning position now where they just have a Scornblade Berserker, but good god, does that completely hose us now? Another captive, weird. The thing. Yeah, I mean, I can flip an Order of the Mirror and attack with it, and then that would be a 1-for-1 trade. But if I attack with both creatures, then I have to spend 2 cards to kill the Hitotsugu and Kairi here. I think I just play the captive weird, honestly, and pass. We try to make a really wide board state and draw into another Protocol Knight or Temporal Cleansing. We have 3 more Protocol Knights, 1 Temporal Cleansing. That could lock down the Hitotsugu and Kairi. Get us to a position where we have like 3 more attackers than they have blockers, potentially. Yikes. Yeah. Bomb rare number 2 coming in hot. And that searches for their 3rd best card in their deck. I've got another island in hand. Let's leave double white up. That's the wrong card to flip. Sick. Can hit them for 6 and put them to 3 life. Then I lose 2 creatures, and then I have 2 creatures against 3 blockers next turn minimum. Yeah, I mean, we're still all in on triple Protocol Knight, Temporal Cleansing, but it is feeling like it's too late. This deck just has way too many incredible rares. There's the Protocol Knight. If I play the island first, I'm playing around the counter unless you pay 4 spell. But I still don't kill them this turn if they have that. And I don't kill them this turn if they don't have that, because I lock down 1 creature, they still have 2 blockers, so they just take 6 again. Still a good draw, but it would have been like a victorious draw a couple turns ago. Sick. Cryptomancer too. Oh boy. And now we're dead. Take 13 in the sky. It is what it is. That mill into the Hitotsugu and Kairi saved our opponent pretty hard. I don't think I played out the early turns perfectly. We were pretty stuck on mana there, and it was pretty hard to decide what to do between being mana efficient and rolling out with knights to get extra damage in. So maybe there was a different sequence of draws, or a different sequence of plays earlier in that game that would have been better if I just kept playing 3 mana cards first instead of going Marshal of Zalfir, leading it off. Maybe it would have played out better. I don't know. We'd have had to stacked up a lot of extra damage to find a victory there. So a lot of minorly different turns early on would have had to lead to some massively different amounts of damage output. So I don't think there was a winning line in that game, but there was certainly a better line throughout it, I would say. I'm just gonna go for Norn's Inquisitor value here. Make the Captive Weird a 4/4 next turn. Playing against a red-black. There's a Yuri, Master of the Review. When it dies, it deals 1 to any target. So they could chump block the Captive Weird and then kill the Inquisitor. Which I think is fine. I think it's still worth attacking with the Pleated Conjurer. Letting them kill the Norn's Inquisitor, because it's going to be several turns before I flip this 2/2 anyway, because I've got a Protocol Knight coming up that I'm going to play next turn, or else it'll be exiled forever. I love these Captive Weirds in this deck, where our curve stops at 4 mana, just makes it like impossible to miss, because if I hit a 4-drop, then I can just go land 4-drop next turn. Alright. The black-red deck leaves double black and a red up. I am obviously just going to play Protocol Knight, so we do that pre-combat. For maximum value. Do I play around a flash creature in red-black? I don't remember any flash creatures. Alright, deal 5. They're down to 11 past the turn. They just had nothing turn 3. Not a good start for them. There's a Furnace Rains to borrow our completed Conjurer, then they're going to attack with it. So if they have like a Final Flourish, then their plan here is to hit me, get a treasure token, cast the Final Flourish, sack the Conjurer, and kill the Protocol Knight. Do I play around Final Flourish by blocking here? If they don't have Final Flourish, it's so much worse to block. If they do, it's actually better, because then I only lose 1 creature instead of 2. You know what? Show me the Final Flourish. Prove it. Alright, well, that sucks. Now Yuri's massive. I think we need to jump into the sky now. Might have been better to just get a guaranteed 3 damage in there than drop the Aerialist. Invasion of Eldraine, that is monumentally annoying. Alright, drop Arrington Giada. Flip the Aerialist, get a bunch of flying damage in. Drawn to an Order of the Mirror. Want to hit attack in with a 3/3, then they trade and kill one of our flyers, so I don't think I want to actually do that. Got a Marshal of Zalfir coming down next turn, so I'd like to get another Knight on board, rather than holding up to flip the Incubator. Plus I can always flip the Incubator the turn that I'm going to attack with it. Another Furnace Rains to flip this Invasion of Eldraine. Gives them another blocker if that thing resolves. And they're going to kill one of our attackers. Okay, so if they flip this and then they sack an Invader to Final Flourish, we lose Invader and Arrington Giada, and they have a 2/2 that does 2 to us every turn. Don't love losing out on +1/+1 counter here, but I think I need to stop the flip here. If this was just a desperate attempt to flip the invasion to survive, then we stopped that. And it looks like it was. They just needed to flip it into a flyer to live this turn. All right. That game could have went out differently. I should have went with my gut. There. My thought there was that they were under so much pressure early that this could easily just be a desperation act of treason. Of just like, well, maybe they'll chump and we can kill a creature that way. But my gut was saying, no, they have to have something better to play this turn than just hoping that I chump block against an act of treason, meaning that they would only use that if they knew that they had a sack effect in their hand. And there's no 1 red mana sack effect, so obviously it'd be a 2 mana sack effect, so clearly it was Final Flourish was the possibility there. I should have played around the Final Flourish early, I think. Because again, the odds of that being their best play if they don't have the 2 mana sack outlet in hand are monumentally low. They would have to be on a really bad keep. So I could have played that one out better, but we still drew a really nice aggressive hand. And gave us the victory regardless. So we are 1-1 heading into game 3. Doesn't really feel like our gameplay decisions have super mattered in either game so far. Could have played a bit better in game 1, but I think we were going to lose no matter what. Could have played much better in game 2, but we still won no matter what, so. Just seeing how our decks match up with our opponents at this rate. See what our 3rd round opponent is on now. Alright, well, our round 3 opponent failed to connect to the match for whatever various reasons can happen. And I guess we'll start off 2-1 heading into round 4. Alright, here we are on the play for round 4. We have Captive Weird into Cavalier, into the flip, into the Protocol Knight. Excellent starting hand on the play here. Actually, it's probably not going to be turn 3 Weird into turn 4 Protocol Knight, because turn 4 is going to be whatever I flip. Whatever I exile off the top, so that I can actually draw it. We're playing against the blue deck. Island on the board. Blue-white, gonna be the mirror match, potentially. Yep, Swordsworn Cavalier turn 2, looks like it is the mirror match indeed. What do we got, Captive Weird? Show me the goodies. Another island? Alright, let's land for turn. Just send in here. Give them whatever trade they want. These are pretty equivalent in value. A 3-3 versus a 3-1 that's gonna be first strike probably half the time. And we definitely want to get aggressive here. Okay, they're going to trade into the completed Conjurer and take 3 down to 17. We're going to Protocol Knight down whatever creature they play this turn, hit for another 3. Zalfiran Lancer. Alright. Time to smack. Play Plains next turn. I should have played that last turn. So we have 6 power on the board. If they just tap out for a big creature, we can just Cleansing. Hopefully no interaction right now. Alright, Protocol Knight's pretty annoying, because Temporal Cleansing's not the greatest on that, and it's 4 toughness against the Cavalier. We got a good draw, though. We got a Phyrexian Awakening here to get a 4-4 against these 3-3s and 3-4s. We gotta be on Awakening now. I don't think it's worth it to cleansing a Protocol Knight to poke for 3 damage because they locked down our other creature. Order of the Mirror. It is a knight, so it triggers the Zhalfir and Lancer, so they've got a big vigilant attacker for a turn. Send in the Protocol Knight and the Zhalfir and Lancer, so they've got a Cryptomancer or an aerial boost or something for the Protocol Knight. That's pretty annoying, but I don't know if I can afford to just not block here. Just take 7 of the face, go to 11. Guess I can take the damage for now. 11 is still double digits, it's not horrible. Ooh. Another Protocol Knight's actually pretty sweet here. Yeah, that's gonna lead to some large attacks this turn. I think Lancer's just a chump block, unless they have a good combat trick. But Lancer's the better attacker, so I think I flipped that anyway. Because that'll probably be a vigilant attacker again. Send in the squad. And we'll still have a 3-4 and a 4-4 on blocks, thanks to the vigilance given to the Phyrexian token. Ooh, Cryptomancer, let's go. Cryptomancer to stop the bounce spell on a token is so powerful. They probably have a combat trick to kill one of our other creatures, based on how they attacked last turn, but letting them not just kill a token and surveil too is pretty good. Alright, aerial boost to trade into the Protocol Knight, so it's not even a straight kill, it's a 2-for-1 there. Alright, now the board state is looking very far in our favor, but we don't know what they have in hand and what they drew this turn. There are a lot of high impact cards in this format, as we saw against that blue-black deck. There's the Temporal Cleansing for the Phyrexian. We'll put it second from the top. We'll redraw that token real quick. Lanes for us. Alright, Cleansing is just lethal, so we'll just do it. Poke for 6. Oops. And there's the concession from our opponent, so we are now 3-1 heading into round number 5. Game 5 now, another sweet curve. We have Captive Weird into Order of the Mirror into Flip the Weird. If the Weird just hits a land, then we can play a Protocol Knight turn 4. If it hits a spell, we'll cast that. Playing against a black deck with a turn 1 Ichor Drinker. They're black-white. Black-white tends to be Phyrexians as the archetype. Alright. Probably removal spell the Captive Weird, but I don't have an alternate line this turn anyway. So even if they kill this to make me sink 3 mana into doing nothing, I would instead just be flipping an Order of the Mirror, which isn't that good regardless. And they do not have the instant speed removal, like a Vanquish the Weak or something for that, which is good. Drawn another Protocol Knight. 4 Protocol Knight is so nasty. We just chain Protocol Knights into each other. Make it so our opponent never blocks, ever. I don't know what they're drawing into, though. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm just gonna be mana efficient and drop a Protocol Knight, I guess, to tap an Ichor Drinker. Must be a bunch of removal or something. Probably kill our 3-4. Actually, probably kill the Conjurer, because they stop 3 damage right now. Yep, Deadly Derision it is. So poke them down to 15. Sunder the Gateway, get a 2/2. I mean, I want to keep playing creatures here, so I'm gonna play a Protocol Knight. Might as well tap down the 2/2. They're gonna Final Flourish. Sack it to kill a 3/4 Protocol Knight. I feel like it'd be better to sack the treasure. Maybe they need the treasure for something. Angelic Intervention, okay. Protection from blue for the turn. Which makes it so we don't get to attack, but that's fine because we've got Meeting of Minds to play during their end step now. Waiting till their end step so that I still have blockers. They don't crack back at all. Not that they would, they'd probably just hold up for blocks, but just in case. Okay. Let's draw 2 cards off Meeting of Minds. Ooh, a Guardian of Gearper. It gets a Protocol Knight onto the board in the end step, which is not as good as flickering it immediately, but it'll still lock down their blocker for 1 turn. It just doesn't lock it down till next turn. Yeah, I can Guardian of Gearper and still hold up in a Cyber Cryptomancer or an Aerial Boost or Elspeth's Smite. I guess I could just do this post-combat because I already have fine attacks on board, especially with 2 combat tricks ready and a removal spell if things get weird. Things get a little testy in there. I guess they just double block. 3/3 and a 1/1 on one of my 3/4s. Deadly Derision. I think I'm pretty fine with saying no to that. Then if they double block the other Protocol Knight, the question is whether we'd rather Aerial Boost or Elspeth Smite. I think I would rather Elspeth Smite because it's easier to find a place to use Aerial Boost, but they're just going to chump block. Alright, that is cool too. Unless they got a 1-mana trick of their own. Uh-oh. Oh, they have their own Aerial Boost. I'm still on Elspeth Smite here. Because again, I can use Aerial Boost like pre-combat to jump over their board if I need to, so it's a little more flexible. Here's the Guardian of Gearper on a Protocol Knight, the one that does not have a counter on it. And that'll keep the Ichor Drinker down. And this is just an incredible board state. Okay, more than enough mana to flip this now and send in with everybody. This is potentially lethal here. They're going to gain 1 life off a block, but then I deal 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 off Aerial Boost. 7, 8, 9. Okay, no, that's just 11, and they gain 1 on the block. Okay, so we just let it happen. Collective Nightmare? Oh my god, our combat tricks played out so well for us this game, it's just egregious. Just counter their removal spell again. Yeah, that was just drawing like Aerial Boosts and Cryptomancers with perfect timing this game. And they are going to scoop them up now. We are 4-1 heading into round number 6. Alright, we are on the draw this game against Karuga the Macro Sage, so we know they're not going to do anything for the first 2 turns. So that's nice. We don't need a super fast hand. It would still be ideal to try to put pressure on them for playing the slower card advantage oriented deck, but I think this hand is good enough that I shouldn't be mulliganing it. Yeah. I would prefer something more aggressive than this, but this is powerful enough and has both of our colors that I think it's not worth the risk of getting a worse 6-card hand. There's nothing massively wrong with this hand at all. Just the minor flaw of not being aggressive. Well, I mean, that's not really a minor flaw. That's a pretty average flaw. That's not anything to scoff at. That does matter a good amount, but having both of our colors and a bunch of castable spells is just the most important thing in your openers. It could be so much worse. Alright, they're going to spend turn 3 putting Karuga into the hand. Let's spend our turn 3 dropping down a Phyrexian Awakening, so that turn 4 we can attack them with a 4/4 and play a 3/1. And that's about as aggressive as this hand can get started. Renata called to the hunt. Alright, yeah, attacking with a 4/4 seems legit. Against that 2/3. Could just hold up a Cryptomancer, but I think I just keep playing Dorks. Especially because Cavalier is high enough power to trade into Renata. She's only got 3 toughness. Even if she ends up having like 6 or 7 power, it's still 3 toughness. They play nothing here. Okay, I can't play anything that matters pre-combat. I guess I could Protocol Knight down Renata, but I'm pretty cool with the trades. Suppose if I play a Knight pre-combat, they have no good blocks on board, and then I still get to hold up Errant and Giada. Yeah, I think I like playing Cavalier here. If they don't do anything in combat, we can Errant and Giada or Eyes of Gataxius. If they do something in combat, we can Cryptomancer. Seems reasonable. I think I'd rather Errant and Giada than Eyes of Gataxius if I don't need to Cryptomancer, because that puts more power on the board immediately instead of needing to spend another 2 to get the more power out later. Fertilid's Favor. I can't counter that, so that's going to make it a 4/5. So if I make this 4/4 a 5/5, we win the combat, so Cryptomancer's fine here. I think I should do that, because it's going to be hard to get through a 4/5 if I don't kill it right now. Alright. Their board state's clear. We have a 5/5 and 2 3/1s out. Got a Protocol Knight. Oh god, Chrome Host Seed Shark. Every time they cast a non-creature spell, they get to do the thingy. Incubate. If I play a Marshal of Zalfir and they don't have instant speed removal, they don't have any blocks and they take a lot of damage, I feel like it is much safer to just play Errant and Giada and lock down the Seed Shark. Or not Errant and Giada, Protocol Knight, and lock down the Seed Shark. So if I go for Marshal of Zalfir and then attack with everybody and then they removal spell Marshal of Zalfir, they kill Marshal and a Cavalier, take 8, and they have an Incubator. Yeah, let's just Protocol Knight. It's gonna shut off the Seed Shark as a blocker for 2 turns. And then hopefully Marshal of Zalfir next turn can find our lethal. Okay, very happy I Protocol Knighted over Marshal of Zalfir, because that would have played disastrously. They would have killed a Cavalier and a Marshal. And taken the same amount of damage. So they've got a Karuga as a blocker, but they don't have the mana up to flip the Incubator also. So they have 1 blocker, so they're already done on board. So they just scoop it up. They see the writing on the wall before me. Math is for blockers, so I didn't figure out if they were dead yet. Still thinking about what we needed to do in the future, and it's like not a lot. Karuga decks are just a bit too slow. Even with our slower hand there, we're aggressive enough to still put that pressure on and find the kill. So we are 5-1 now. So no matter what, we are in the money, leaving with more gems than it costs to enter the event. Great place to be. We'll see how much farther we can take it, but I'm pretty happy here now with our blue-white knights deck. Very nice run. All right, this is a solid hand. Not incredible, but not terrible. Double Protocol Knight? I've changed my mind. The hand is incredible. Unstoppable. Our opponent will never get to block from now until the end of time. What are the odds of them playing no creatures turn 3? Pretty low. I should probably play the Flyer over the Cavalier and then play the Cavalier turn 3. Because we're not going to be playing a Knight on turn 3, so if they play any creature, the Cavalier's just going to trade into it next turn. Like if they play an Overgrown Pest or something, Skittering Surveyor. So I think it's probably better to play Aerialist, guarantee I get in 2 damage. The odds of them playing a Flyer are a lot lower. Oh, they didn't play a creature. Well, would have hit for 1 more damage if I played Cavalier that turn, but that's fine. We can still play Cavalier this turn, and then just start jamming out a bunch of Protocol Knights. As you do. Definitely on Cavalier over Order of the Mirror, since it's going to be some time before I want to flip this order. So this is just more damage plus an actual ability on the front half. Our opponent is on green, black, and blue ramp with a Blighted Burgeoning, so they could even be splashing a 4th or even 5th color thanks to the mana fixing off that card. This can't tap artifacts, can it? No, there's some cards like Bola Slinger that it lets you tap artifacts with, but it doesn't let you do that with Protocol Knight, which is sad. So if I play Protocol Knight here, it's not bad, I just don't get the enter the battlefield value. I still get first strike on Cavalier against the token. Yeah, I'm probably supposed to play my biggest creature to get as much power and toughness on the board this turn as possible, even if I don't get to use its enter the battlefield effect. Send in the team. So they need to flip the incubator and play a combat trick to beat Cavalier. Cosmic Hunger, use a removal spell on the Flyer. Take 3 from Swordsworn Cavalier. Well, pretty happy I didn't just dump 4 mana into flipping the Aerialist. That's why it's usually better to try to do those things later if you have other things to do with your mana, because you can get absolutely blown out by instants where you spend 4 mana and then they just kill a creature they already wanted to kill, and you get nothing. Vat Keeper? This is a lot of blockers. This is a lot of blockers, and they're still at 18, so it's going to be an uphill battle. Probably Protocol Knight down the 2/2, because we're pretty okay if they want to block with a Vat Keeper. Because then we keep it from doubling up any incubators in the future. They could flip a 2/2 and like double block something with a Vat Keeper in the 2/2, but then they lose a Vat Keeper, which is good for us. And I have this super sneaky Convoke combat trick that's really hard to play around. Thank you very much, Aerial Boost. Very cool. I am out of cards now, though, and they still have 3 plus a 4th they just top decked, so they've got some big late game plays. We're probably dead, and they certainly do. I'm not sure how we're supposed to beat a 12/12 trample that spits out more creatures every time they attack with anything, but I'll do my best. Well, I mean, the answer is removal spell, but we only have tempo plays like Protocol Knights. So we'd need to draw into another Protocol Knight or Temporal Mastery, and I think we would have needed to draw it literally off the top. Because I don't think we need to Cryptomancer here. It doesn't really matter if they kill a 3/4 when they have a 12/12 on board. Yeah, we can't do anything about this Galta. Our plan against bombs is to outrace them. So when our opponent has successfully defended themselves pretty well and made it all the way to like turn 6 or turn 7, still at 15 life, we're going to have a very, very hard time. Harrington Giada. Harrington Giada is actually really cool here. Gets us a flyer and potentially more. I actually kind of want to main phase them in case I have the flyer right on top. It's really unlikely, but just in case. That way I don't miss a card draw off of Harrington Giada. Pylon. Alright, well, Cryptomancer. Now they are playing off the top, and we're potentially dealing 3 damage to them every turn. We're playing off the top as well, and I think the board states are weirdly pretty even, because if they attack with Galt and Mavrin, they take 1,000,000 on the crackback. It's like, it feels kind of like mutually assured destruction, where as soon as somebody attacks, one of us is going to die instantaneously. It all depends on what's on top of my deck after this island, pretty much. Because if there's a Hope of Gear per Cryptomancer or something, then I probably win this race. But if it's another island after this island, then I lose. Okay, well, I guess it's time to see what's after the plains then. Alright, Unsealed Necropolis off the top was huge though. That's 3 more blockers this turn because they can play Vatkeeper, Thespian, and flip the Incubator the Vatkeeper makes, and that does just mean I lose. Unseal was certainly the draw that they would want there. I do have a Cryptomancer on top. That's 1 extra card draw off Harrington Giada. I think I should just do it and dig for more. Phyrexian Awakening is my next draw. I don't think I can win then. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I really could have done differently is maybe I could have quadruple blocked Galta and Mavrin, but then they would have just unsealed the Galta back to their hand. And we'd have no board state against the 12-12. At this rate, I'm pretty sure I die on the crackback. I can quadruple block Galta and Mavrin now, I guess, but send another creature in. More damage in. Block, 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 block. I've got 2 chump blockers. I think I probably should chip in. On the monumental off chance that I survive long enough to hit them 4 times, that might be our best bet. Harrington Giada is lethal in only 4 swings. So who knows? Okay, I'm actually dead on board by attacking with Harrington Giada, which is fine. Because I think was already dead on board. Right? Because, well, if I quadruple blocked Galt and Mavrin, I would be dead on board. Quadruple blocking Galt and Mavrin would be like the only good play. Yeah, I mean, I could barely survive this turn and then have a 4-4 and nothing else on board. But that's not going to do it. Kind of died the second the Galt and Mavrin hit the board. We are 5-2 now, heading into game number 8. Here we are for game 8. Excellent hand. Captive Weird into Harrington Giada and Protocol Knight. Protocol Knight doesn't actually have a knight to go with it in this hand. That's the only kind of awkward thing. Nezumi Informant, whatever shall I discard? Goodbye, plains. Playing against a black-green deck here, and there's the Overgrown Pest turn 3. That is 2 2-for-1 value creatures in a row. Informant into Overgrown Pest, which means we are behind in card advantage, but Captive Weird and Eyes of Gataxias can claw our way back in. And potentially Errant and Giada, depending on what we hit. Just gonna play the land and pass the turn, which is gonna look super suspicious, but that's okay. Because I want to play Errant and Giada anyway. Wow. 3 2-for-1 creatures. I'm pretty sure I keep aerial boost, so I can block with Errant and Giada and still have an aerial boost up. I can't imagine I get rid of Eyes Taxis. I guess I'm getting rid of a land again. The only thing I can't play being the Protocol Knight. There's an Aetherblade Agent. Alright, pass turn. They play around the Errant and Giada, and we have the land on top, so we still have land 4. Let's go. Saiba Cryptomancer on top makes me want to hold 2 mana up. To do that, to draw a card. Which means I'm just on Aerial Boost Cryptomancer. It's playing the game out slowly, but that's fine, because their board state also plays the game out slowly. Invasion of Zendikar. It's a good battle for them to try to flip. It's gonna perfectly fix their mana for any bombs they've drafted as well. Grab a white source for a splash. Send in the squad at this Invasion of Zendikar. Alright, here's a Cryptomancer. Put the counter on itself. That's gonna block an Aetherblade Agent, and this is gonna block an Informant, I think. Actually, it's probably better to make sure they don't flip the invasion, so we kill the Overgrown Pest with Aerial Boost. I don't need to kill the pest, but I think I want to. Make it harder for them to attack the invasion next turn. We've got a land coming up on top, so I could flip the Captive Weird and know that I have the land for turn to play a Norn's Inquisitor as well. For 2 plays this turn. That seems reasonable to me. Another Cryptomancer? Uh-huh. Guess I'll send in for 3, and I'm holding up a 2-3 and a 1-2 to stop them from flipping the Invasion of Zendikar. Errant and Giada has been straight gas this game. Probably our luckiest Errant and Giada game we'll have all day. It's absurd. Hitting both Cryptomancers. And yeah, now they just have 2 1/1s and 2 battles that they're just never going to be able to flip. So they're starting to fall really far behind. Feels great for us. Draw this land and see what we hit. Another land. Okay, probably play a Norn's Inquisitor. My blocks won't be super good if I play an Inquisitor. Yeah, probably better just hold up the egg. Right, because they can't removal spell Cryptomancer, it has hexproof, and they can't removal spell the egg with a sorcery. They'd have to use an instant, which means I have 2 blockers guaranteed for the 2 attackers to keep the battles from flipping. And it locks us in to the better board state. The only way that we get behind on board is with a really impactful card from them, or if they start flipping these battles. Okay, they're going to try to flip the battles. Hopefully that doesn't mean they have the instant speed removal for our egg. Let's find out. But it probably does mean they do. But they're going to have to use it on our 3-3, which is fine. Then I can just Protocol Knight and hit them for 6. Ooh. Wow, that was a really good instant speed removal spell to have. Repurposing to kill the 3-3 and get a 3-3 of their own so that I don't get to lock down their whole board here. Just one of their creatures. Okay, I don't have a knight on board, do I? No, so we play the Inquisitor, and then we play the Protocol Knight. Tap the Skyclave. They have a single 3-3 to block with. They could trade their 3-3 into our 3-4. Or sorry, their 3-3 into our 3-3. We hit them with our 3-4. They go down to 6. I think that's fine. He gets a blocker out of the way, and then they just have 2 1/1s and whatever they hit off the top to survive next turn. Alright, what do they draw into? We're going to have 3 power creatures attacking in. Corrupted Conviction, that's pretty big. Draw 2. Play a forest. An Elvish Vatkeeper, that is excellent. 2 creatures off the 1 card, a 3/3 and a 4/4, which are some pretty big blockers. So we might be all in on getting it in the sky now. Just hit them twice with Errant Giada to find the last 6 damage. And we have an aerial boost next turn. That is almost definitely finding lethal. Even if they kill Errant Giada now. I got nothing to do. I have no cards in hand, so might as well just spend all our mana on flipping these things. Would I attack with the Incubator if I flip it this turn? Send in a 3/4 and a 3/3? No. I would not. They'd block the 3/4 with a 3/3 and a 1/1. They'd block the 3/3 with a 4/4. Or they just go 3/3 on the 3/3 and 4/4 on the 3/4. Either way, we'd get 1 extra point of damage, and by doing that, I don't think it's worth attacking on the ground. Thanks to the Vatkeeper doubling up that Incubator. So they've got 1 draw step to hit removal for Errant Giada, and even if they hit it, we have an aerial boost as our draw for next turn. Send everything an Invasion of Lorwyn. I think it's actually just fine if that thing flips, but since the 0/1 doesn't help us attack at all anyway, and Inquisitor already got its value, I'll go for the double chump. But yeah, since that thing doesn't have reach, it doesn't really matter. There's the GG from our opponent, and that is gonna be game. We are now 6-2, heading into the final boss. Win or lose, it's gonna be the final game of Magic for today. Well, our final boss has really got a final boss name. We're against Sauron here. So that's terrifying. We'll keep the hand. It's only got the 1 creature mainly, just the Captive Weird, but if they don't immediately kill it, then we get some card draw off of it and see where we go from there. We have a Meeting of Minds as well for card draw. The big selling point of the hand being having blue and white mana. Revelation gets rid of our Cryptomancer or gives them a 3/3 Incubator. They're going to get rid of the Cryptomancer. We're playing against blue-black, an appropriate final boss for the March of the Machine limited format. The 2 best colors in the format glued together. There's an Expedition Lookout for them this turn, which can eventually attack and be unblockable, but it'll take a while for them to mill us that much. At least a few turns, even if they play multiple, like mill 3 cards. Alright, Captive Weird, what are we getting? Get a Plains? Sure, that'll be my land for turn next turn. If they want to Afar's Dispersal my Conjure, that is A-okay. So, absolutely send it in when they only have 1 blue mana up. Oculus Whelp. 3/2 flyer, no bonus text because they don't have a transformed card. Okay. I would like to keep playing creatures, so I'm going to play a Protocol Knight, tapping the Oculus Whelp. Sure. If I trade in, they don't get the card draw, but I would rather just keep all the damage on board as possible. Probably just Temporal Cleansing the Whelp if they don't play anything better. Keep attacking with 3 power dorks. I guess we can Temporal Cleansing the Whelp if they manage to get a transformed permanent, so they can't get like the trade plus draw card off of it. There's Invasion of Amonkhet, one of the strongest cards in the format. It's great value up front, and if you flip it, it's absurd, turning into a 4/4 copy of the best creature in your grave, which currently is a 4/4 Cryptomancer, which is still not bad, because it's a 5/5 hexproof if they bring it back from grave and put the counter on itself. I want to keep Awakening, because it's the only creature I have left in the hand. I guess Aerial Boost is weaker when they know that we have it, but I still want to keep that. And I want the land to be able to play Awakening and flip the token immediately if I want. I might get rid of Meeting of Minds. That feels wrong. The discard on this Invasion of Amonkhet is looking rough for us. I'm going to get rid of the land, and if I don't top deck a land here, I still have other good things to do. Ooh, now I could still play Awakening and just play a Captive Weird alongside it. They do not have a transformed permanent. I still think that I'd rather not trade into the Whelp, but I guess trading it off before it can draw any cards is fine. Right, because I'm about to have a 4/4 attacker and another 3/3 just by playing Awakening and Captive Weird and attack with both of those next turn. Yeah, we can just let the trade happen, I guess. Next turn, even if I don't hit a land, I can spend 2 mana to flip my 4/4 and 3 mana to flip my Captive Weird. We're at 5 cards in grave. If they do another mill 3, then the lookout will be unblockable, but they won't be blocking with it, obviously. Pylon on the Protocol Knight. I don't have a Cryptomancer for that. So that happens. In that case, I could Aerial Boost and play Captive Weird. I think it's still better to go Awakening Captive Weird here. I should have actually played Captive Weird or Phyrexian Awakening pre-combat, one or the other. Because that would have let me hold up the Aerial Boost Convoke and still cast both of them this turn. They surveilled 2. I don't think they put anything in graves. They must have great draws. Yeah, Yorion is a great draw, I would say. Flicker and Invasion of Amonkhet? That's egregious. Draw another card, we discard another card. I'm gonna have to Temporal Cleansing this Yorion to get attacks in with anything. I guess Aerial Boost could get attacks in if I flip this, hold up Aerial Boost, but I think we have to drop that Meeting of Minds. Land number 5. I would rather flip Captive Weird first. Find a Protocol Knight for next turn. That's really good. Send in with Aerial Boost up. Oh shoot. I might have punted this one out. I don't actually have Temporal Cleansing mana after a Conjure flip. I would have had it after an Incubator flip. Oh wow, yeah, that might have punted this out. Because if we went flip Incubator attack, they don't block because of Aerial Boost, and then we just cleansing the Yorion so that they don't flip Invasion of Amonkhet. Now they're going to flip an Invasion of Amonkhet on us, which is very bad. Get a Halo Forger and a removal spell? Yeah. God dang it. I'm too bad at math for this game. I don't know why. I thought I would have the mana up thanks to the Vigilance exactly enough to Temporal Cleansing, but I'm 1 off. Well, oops. We could still have a shot. It's not a great shot though, but I can play Protocol Knight and Temporal Cleansing next turn. bounce the invasioned creature, lock down another creature, still attack pretty aggressively. Oh, I could have aerial boosted on blocks, but they probably have removal in hand. Or else they wouldn't make that attack. I guess I probably should have taken that risk and been like, well, maybe. Maybe no removal in hand. Again, I don't think they would make that attack because they've known about this aerial boost the whole game, so I don't think they would make that attack without another removal spell in their hand. I guess we'll find out next turn. So there's the Aether Blade Agent. So we'll find out. If we pass to them and then they're just removal spell some of our dorks, then yeah, they had removal against the aerial boost. They could double block here. No blocks. Fine by me. Just cleansing a Yorion. I don't think so. Alright, show me your removal spell. If they don't show me a removal spell, then we punted twice. Because if they had no removal spell in when they attacked with that Yorion against the Invasion of Amonkhet, then maybe they just punted the attack and didn't play around an aerial boost. Or they were on those just next level bluff attacks. But it seems like they might have just forgot about aerial boost being able to be used defensively. We'll find out 100% right now, because if they have removal in hand, they would definitely kill whatever aerial boost in response. Well, I mean, this actually plays out fine to where if they don't have the removal in hand, right, and we didn't do that aerial boost earlier, then now I just Temporal Cleansing Halo Forger, aerial boost. It's not exact lethal. It's still 2 damage off. Never mind. And say we could aerial boost the Forager, and then they have no, or Temporal Cleansing the Forager, and they have no flying blockers, so we can hit them for all of our damage. Okay, all right. Let's just find out right now. Probably just double punted for the free Invasion of Amonkhet flip for them of not aerial boosting on blocks. Well, first of all, not cleansing the Yorion, not having the mana up to do that, and then not aerial boosting when they attacked the Invasion of Amonkhet with Yorion. Big punts to end the day, let's go. This looks like no interaction. Oh my god, we reverse punted! They punt attacked into Invasion of Amonkhet and I didn't even notice. Well, well, well. Alright, so we had 2 opportunities to probably win this game. So we definitely could have stopped the flip. If I Cleansing Agent, I can't get past Halo Forger, and if I Cleansing Halo Forger, I can't get past Agent, and they're going to redraw an Invasion of Amonkhet. So I'm just going to Eyes of Ataxius right now. See what we find. That is very good. Because it can deal with the Aether Blade Agent. I don't have the mana to deal with Forger and the Agent this turn, so I think I need to just flip my 3/3 and wait. I could Convoke out the Temporal Cleansing, but then I wouldn't be attacking this turn anyway. To use the Elspeth Smite when the Agent goes for a block. I could also Smite the Lookout, but that's going to take 7 turns to kill us by itself. Oh, good grief. Alright. That's immediately flipped off of their next Halo Forager, and I lose one of my removal spells. Punted out of the 7-2 into the 6-3. I feel so bad too because our opponent punted, but we didn't realize. Our opponent punted once, but we punted twice. Once with the reverse punt to make it terrible. Yeah, Invasion of Amonkhet is such an absurd card. Oh, we really needed to be able to stop that from flipping, and we were able to, but I did not do the right line. Alright, we're so dead here no matter what I hit. They have 6 unblockable damage, 5 power in the sky. Got a Protocol Knight on top. Could basically scoop at this point, but I'll send in with everybody. Do as much damage as I can. That's quite a draw. Invasion of Tolvada as well. Bring back Yorion. Flicker the Invasion of Tolvada. Okay, congratulations. 6-3. Oh, that was a really sad game to lose because we 100% could have had that game in the bag. If the first Invasion of Amonkhet didn't flip, then the game would have went far differently, and we could have Temporal Cleansing the Yorion to make sure that it wouldn't flip. That wouldn't have played incredibly well, because then they would redraw Yorion with an Invasion of Amonkhet on the board to be able to flicker Invasion of Amonkhet and do it again, and I don't know if that would have definitely won the game, but once they attacked into the Invasion of Amonkhet and we had the ability to make our 3/3 a 5/5 flyer and block and kill that Yorion, that is where the massive punt was. I don't think it was unreasonable to assume that they would have the instant speed removal there because they've revealed our combat tricks so early in the game. They've known about it the whole time, but with the way that the game played out after that, it looks like they just didn't have another removal spell in their hand at the time. So they could have just bluffed, or they could have just forgot about it because it was revealed so early. So if we went for the +2/+2 fly and kill the Yorion there, we would have probably stopped Invasion of Amonkhet from flipping and killed the Yorion, and that would have put us in a massive lead on board and found lethal pretty quickly the next coming turns. So played out that last game super poorly. Got a deserved loss there for a 6-3 with what could have definitely been a 7-win deck. Pretty happy with how I drafted. I think this deck was very, very sweet, very powerful, super good stuff. Just had some pretty sloppy gameplay overall, even in a lot of our victories. We were definitely looking back on some turns, some plays we could have done differently, and at least one of our losses, those misplays do catch up to us in the end, bring us down to a 6-3 instead of a 7-win run. well, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see some more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.